What if I told you the greatest battles in NBA history didn't start at tip-off? They started with a shove, a stare, a slight, and sometimes a punch that never got forgotten. There's a reason why certain matchups feel different, why fans circle them on the calendar. It's not just about basketball, it's about history, bad blood, unfinished business, because under the surface of dunks and buzzer beaters lies a world of grudges, years in the making. Some personal, some petty, some absolutely justified, but all of them real. You've seen the highlights, now you'll hear the truth. From sucker punches and locker room explosions to final tensions that outlive the rings themselves. These are the biggest beefs in NBA history. This wasn't beef, it was a war between two kings who shared one throne and couldn't stop stepping on each other's crowns. It started with dominance. Shaquille O'Neal, 7 feet, 300 plus pounds of destruction. The most unstoppable force the league had ever seen since Wilt. And Kobe Bryant, a teenage assassin with footwork smoother than jazz and ambition bigger than Shaq's size 22s. They were too good to fail. But what happens when two superstars are too big to share the same spotlight? Behind the banners and champagne, things were already boiling. Shaq saw Kobe as the kid who wasn't ready to lead. Kobe saw Shaq as the lazy giant coasting off mostly genetics and a portion of talent. And the locker room, it was torn straight down the middle. Shaq once told reporters, "The difference between me and Kobe is I make everyone around me better." Kobe responded by ignoring him entirely. Instead, he worked in silence, took more shots, got colder, sharper, meaner. The 2003 season came, and with it, whispers became shouts. Shaq would openly mock Kobe at practice. Kobe started calling Shaq fat and out of shape behind closed doors. Then the scandal hit. In 2003, Kobe was accused of assault in Colorado. As the media storm engulfed him, Kobe dropped a nuke in an interview that shocked the league. "I should have just paid them off like Shaq does." On live microphones, in front of cameras. That betrayal, Shaq never forgot it. The brotherhood? Gone. What followed was pure passive-aggressive warfare. Shaq threw shade and rhymes that aired on radio stations. Kobe fired back with silent dominance. By 2004, the dynasty was dead. The Lakers lost to Detroit in the finals. And within weeks, Shaq was shipped to Miami. Kobe stayed in LA, alone. They won 3 rings together, but they could have won 6, maybe 7, and they both knew it. Years later, they'd laugh about it in public, but anyone who watched it unfold knew that that was just the camera-friendly version. Because when Shaq and Kobe were at their peak, they weren't teammates. They were rivals, forced to wear the same jersey. Most NBA beefs simmer in private. This one exploded on camera in 4K for the whole world to see. One punch, one video, one dynasty shaken to its core. Golden State was supposed to be past this. The rings, the legacy, the system, they were above chaos until October 5th, 2022. The Warriors were scrimming at practice. Trash talk, normal. Tension, palpable. Draymond Green was barking louder than usual. Jordan Poole, confident off a breakout season, clapped back. Then it escalated. Poole said something personal. Draymond walked across the court. Poole didn't back down, and that's when it happened. That punch, it wasn't a scuffle, it was a knockout. Fist to face, no warning. Poole's body folded before staff could react, and within hours, TMZ dropped the tape. Millions watched it, frame by frame. The clip went viral. NBA Twitter imploded. Warriors PR scrambled. This wasn't just internal beef anymore. This was public spectacle, and nobody looked good. Draymond apologized, took a leave of absence. The team played damage control. Steve Kerr called it one of the biggest crises they'd ever faced. But the damage, it was done. Sources later revealed Poole had been talking slick for months. Jokes about Draymond's contract, about being old money. And that one jab? Why you talking when they ain't even extend you? Draymond saw red, and the dynasty bled. the season went on. They tried to act like everything was fine, but it wasn't. Poole was never the same. Turnovers, inconsistency, benched in the playoffs. Draymond, still barking, still defending, but something had shifted. In July 2023, the Warriors shipped Poole to Washington for Chris Paul, a man Draymond once hated, now a teammate, because the real mission was clear: fix the locker room, and that meant Poole had to go. Beefs don't always break dynasties, but sometimes all it takes is one punch. This wasn't beef, it was a silent, calculated freeze-out, executed by the most powerful man in sports. Michael Jordan didn't throw punches. He just erased your legacy, one handshake at a time. Back in the 80s, Isiah Thomas was that guy, Detroit's hometown hero, floor general of the Bad Boys Pistons. He wasn't just skilled, he was surgical, cold-blooded. And more importantly, he was the only one in the East consistently beating a young Jordan. Between 1988 and 1990, the Pistons owned the Bulls, and Jordan, he remembered everything. Thomas and the Pistons targeted Jordan. They beat him up physically, mocked him mentally. They didn't just want to win, they wanted to humiliate him. And in 1991, Jordan got his revenge. The Bulls swept the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. No more Jordan rules, no more Zeke dominance. Chicago was the new sheriff in town. And that's when the most iconic moment of disrespect happened. No handshake, no respect, no closure. Jordan took it personally. Fast forward to 1992, Barcelona, the Olympics, the Dream Team, the greatest basketball team ever assembled. Every star, every position, except one name was missing: Isiah Thomas. The man who'd won 2 rings, 12-time All-Star, Finals MVP, left off the roster. And while no one would admit it outright, Jordan didn't even need to speak, because behind the scenes, the message was clear. I won't play if Isiah's on the team. Jordan never forgave, and Isiah, he never forgot. Decades later, they're still taking shots in interviews. Subtle, direct, cold. No reconciliation, just resentment, frozen in time. This wasn't just beef, this was a blacklisting. And when MJ draws the line, that's the end of your story. They weren't just teammates, they were brothers, drafted together, grew together, nearly conquered the league together. Until one summer, Kevin Durant ghosted the team, the fans, and Russell Westbrook himself. And when he reappeared, he was wearing a Golden State jersey. Let's rewind. The Thunder were on the edge of something legendary in 2016. KD and Russ had just pushed the 73-win Warriors to the brink. Game 6, up 3-1. And then they collapsed. Golden State advanced. OKC went home. What no one expected was that Kevin Durant would pack his bags and join the same team that just broke his heart. Russ was blindsided. Durant didn't text him, didn't call, just dipped. The fans, they were furious. They burned jerseys, called him a snake. And in OKC, they started calling soft players cupcakes, a shot from Russ's circle aimed right at KD. And Russ, he turned that pain into rage. That night was electric. KD dropped 39. Russ dropped a triple-double. But no dap, no handshake, just icy stares and cheap shots. Behind the scenes, KD heard the criticism and started clapping back from burner accounts. Yes, Kevin Durant created fake Twitter profiles to defend himself online. He got caught in 2017. One slip-up, he forgot to switch accounts. He accidentally tweeted in the third person saying, KD didn't like the organization or playing for Billy Donovan. The roster wasn't that good. And the internet ate him alive. KD later admitted it, said he was sensitive, that he cared too much, but the damage was done. The bond, gone. Russ went on to win MVP without him.
And the winner of the 2017 Kia NBA Most Valuable Player Award is Russell Westbrook.
KD won 2 rings, but never shook the snake label. They reunited as all-star teammates years later, but it was all smiles for the camera, never real. KD and Russ were supposed to be the next dynasty. Instead, they became a cautionary tale, a duo broken not by basketball, but by silence. July 8, 2010. LeBron James didn't just leave Cleveland, he set it on fire on live television.
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
And the Cavaliers owner, he lit the match right back. This wasn't just a breakup. This was a public execution of loyalty,
We don't need LeBron.
ego, and legacy. Let's rewind. LeBron James, hometown hero, Akron-born, chosen one. Drafted number 1 by Cleveland in 2003.
First pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
By 25, he had 2 MVPs and 0 help. For 7 years, he carried a franchise built on empty promises. He begged for another star, a coach, a real system. Instead, he got washed-up Shaq and role players with no rings. And when the Cavs flamed out again in 2010, LeBron left. In 26 words, LeBron crushed a city's soul. But Dan Gilbert, he didn't just take the L quietly. He wrote the pettiest letter in NBA history. All caps, Comic Sans font. Accused LeBron of cowardice, of betrayal. Said he quit in the playoffs. Promised Cleveland would win a ring before LeBron did. It was unhinged. It was desperate. It was a full-blown meltdown, signed and sealed by a billionaire scorned. And when LeBron returned as a Heat player, he was booed like a villain. Security had to escort his family to safety. Signs called him traitor, backstabber, Queen James. But what did LeBron do? He dropped 38 points and smiled while doing it. Years passed. Gilbert stayed salty. Fans stayed bitter. But in 2014, LeBron did the unthinkable. He came back. Only after Gilbert begged, apologized behind the scenes, and promised to build a real team. LeBron returned. But it wasn't for Gilbert. It was for Ohio, for Akron, for redemption. And in 2016, he delivered the city's first championship in over 50 years. Some beefs explode in fists, others in fonts. Dan Gilbert lost the king, then got him back. But the scars never fully healed, because some betrayals are personal, and when royalty leaves the kingdom, the whole empire feels it. Some trades sting, some punches hurt, but nothing cuts deeper than betrayal from your own brother. Ray Allen didn't switch teams, he crossed enemy lines to Miami. Let's go back. The Boston Celtics had a squad in 2008. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo. The Big Three, they weren't just all-stars, they were family. That team hated LeBron's Heat, battled them every postseason. Trash talk, cheap fouls, elbows, blood. They pushed LeBron to the brink in 2012. Game 6 in Boston, the infamous night LeBron dropped 45, 15, and 5. The Celtics lost. The Heat took over. That summer, Ray Allen packed his bags and signed with Miami. There was no call, no group text, no heads up. KG found out like the rest of us on ESPN. And suddenly, Ray Allen, the smooth-shooting, unproblematic vet, became the biggest villain in Boston since Aaron Boone. Garnett, he was done. Didn't speak Ray's name for years. Refused to shake his hand in reunion games. Said publicly, he's no longer my brother. Paul Pierce, loyalty was broken. Even Rondo, who clashed with Ray for years, said, "You don't leave the family like that." But Ray, he had his reasons. Sources say he felt iced out, that Rondo had grown arrogant, that Doc Rivers wasn't defending him, and that Boston offered less money than Miami with no guarantee of minutes. So he made a business move, and that business move won him another ring. The shot, baseline corner, Bosch rebound, Ray backpedals, cash. One of the coldest, most clutch threes in NBA history. He saved LeBron's legacy, crushed the Spurs, and officially sealed the beef. It took almost a decade for that big three to even stand in the same room again. And even when they did, the air was thick, the wounds still fresh. This wasn't just a team splitting up. This was family divorce. And in the NBA, sometimes loyalty isn't just another word until the money clears. What started as a card game turned into weapons drawn in the middle of an NBA locker room. And by the time it was over, 2 careers were dead. One man was in prison, and the other became a meme for life. This is the wildest beef in NBA history. Gilbert Arenas, aka Agent Zero, was box office. He'd drop 50, call his shot, do snow angels and warm-ups. One of the coldest killers in the 2000s, but behind the smile was a man spiraling. In 2009, Arenas and teammate Javaris Crittenden got into a heated gambling dispute on the team plane. It was over a few $1,000s, pocket change for most NBA players. But this wasn't about money. This was ego. Arenas joked he'd bring the heat next time. Crittenden, he said, "I've got mine too." Nobody thought they meant it. Until the next day, Arenas walked into the Wizards' locker room with 4 guns in his bag, laid them out, told Javaris, "Pick one." And then Javaris pulled a gun too. Let that sink in. 2 NBA players loaded weapons in the locker room. Word got out fast, teammates were shook, the media exploded. The feds got involved, and both players were suspended indefinitely. Arenas pled guilty to a felony gun charge, Crittenden too. But the stories didn't end there. Years later, Crittenden was arrested for murder, a drive-by gone wrong. A mother was killed. Crittenden pled guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to 23 years in prison. Arenas never recovered. He played a few more seasons, but the swagger was gone. The league had moved on. Crittenden, his story didn't end in the NBA. It ended in a cell. All over pride, over cards, over a stupid fight that spiraled out of control. This wasn't beef, this was tragedy. And in NBA history, no off-court feud ever hit darker than this. These weren't just fights. They were battle scars left on the walls of NBA history. From locker room gunfights to burner accounts and betrayal. From friendship to front-page drama. Some were about money, some were about power, but every one of them was about respect. Because in this league, you can win the game and still lose the room. And when egos collide, even the biggest stars can go supernova. What happens when a movie director talks trash to the wrong man, at the wrong time, on the wrong court? He doesn't just get embarrassed, he gets immortalized. Because the night Spike Lee opened his mouth, Reggie Miller wrote a villain origin story. The Knicks were New York's blue-collar heart. They weren't flashy, they were fists in a jersey. Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, John Starks, blood and grit basketball. And right in the middle of the madness, Spike Lee, the loudest Knicks fan in the world. Courtside, every game, yelling, gesturing, stirring chaos like it was part of the game plan. But then came Reggie Miller, a sharpshooting menace from Indiana who didn't care about your zip code, your history, or your ego. Reggie wasn't scared of the Garden. He fed off it. Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5, the series tied 2-2. The Knicks are up 12 in the fourth quarter. MSG is buzzing. Spike Lee popping off like he's front row at a comedy show. "You ain't built for this, Reggie. Sit down. Where your ring at?" Bad move. Reggie hit one jumper, then another. And with each shot, he looked directly at Spike Lee, like he wasn't playing the Knicks, he was playing him. At one point, he hits a deep 3, backpedals, turns to Spike, and throws up the choke sign. "This your fault, Spike." Reggie scored 25 points in the fourth quarter. 25. He outscored the entire Knicks team by himself in that stretch. The Pacers came back and stole the game. Reggie walked off like a villain in a movie. Spike just sat there, arms crossed, mouth shut. The Garden was silent. That night, Spike Lee became an unintentional NBA anti-hero. Reggie, he became a supervillain. In New York, Miller was hated. In Indiana, he was worshipped. ESPN ran that fourth quarter on loop. Reggie leaned into the hate. He loved it. Said later, "I didn't beat the Knicks. I beat Spike Lee. That man gave me fuel." The beef never died. Even years later, Reggie would remind Spike at the award shows, interviews, even on air. "You created me. You made me that guy." Spike, he called Reggie public enemy number 1. This wasn't just basketball. It was theater. Shakespeare at 94 feet. Because in this story, one man lost a game, the other became immortal. And to this day, when Knicks fans hear the word Reggie, they feel a certain way.